and we have the senior editor for Human Events and the overlord of all of social media in America. This guy is a rock star. Jack Posobiec joins us. Jack, how's it going?
Hey, good afternoon. How are you there?
Jack, good to have you with us today, and a lot going on. And we just, first of all, appreciate the great work you're doing on Twitter, especially now known as X, of course. But you're crushing it, man.
Well, thank you. I mean, I really do believe that, nobody could have seen that Elon Musk would purchase Twitter, almost 2 years ago, I guess a year and a half ago now, a year and change, and turn it from this den of, think of where we were with Twitter in the 2020 election as to now. So to the 2020 election, Twitter was the place where the FBI had a direct backdoor to Twitter and could tell them what they wanted taken down, whether it be about COVID-19, whether it be about ballots, whether it be about election integrity, any kind of election malfeasance that went on, immediately taken down. And of course, everyone famously knows that the FBI put pressure and didn't even really need to put much pressure. They just asked Twitter to take down the Hunter Biden story, and they dutifully complied. That's where Twitter was 4 years ago. Now, I had the opportunity to conduct an X Spaces, which Elon Musk took part in. You never know when he's going to hop on to one of those things. It's kind of amazing. And we're there with Ramaswamy, and Alex Jones was there, and it was just everybody. It became this massive thing. And I had the occasion to ask Elon, I said, I appreciate everything you're talking about, but what will you do if the FBI comes to you this year? Because, we understand what happened last time, but if they come to you this time, will you take down lawful, truthful information, or at least First Amendment protected information from your service if the FBI asks you to? He said, number one, I would ask them to obtain a court order, and we would fight it in court. Number two, if they still demanded that I take it down, he said, I would be prepared to go to prison. So he's talking a big game, and I hope that he's able to stick by that. But at the same time, I really have to say that I think that something happened in just the world after that purchase was made. Remember, $40 billion, where we all sort of began to be able to speak a little bit more freely, and we felt as though the sword of Damocles had lifted from above our necks. And it seems like this has been what's generated what I believe is not necessarily a move to the right, but a move back to the center, because our entire country has been governed by the far left and far leftist ideas and far leftist policies for almost a decade now. Trump, of course, was fighting that when he was president, but now because we have the ability to speak freely again, we are moving rightward, but we're actually moving back to the center because we had been so far left for so long.
Jack, I know that you've been covering this on your feed, and we've been following the developments out of Kansas City. And it's interesting, and you know how it is with the media. If the shooters don't fit their preconceived notion or narrative,
oh my goodness,
it's over. The fact that we still don't know who these people are and what the motive was, and as you point out, Kansas City's got a big gang problem right now, and that appears to be what this may have been 48 hours ago.
Look, and again, I'm waiting for the full details to be released, just like everyone else. To me, it's an absolute, it's ridiculous. It's an absolute disgrace that the Kansas City police force and the mayor and the DA there have not put this information out. We get drips and drabs over, we think it might be some juveniles. We think it might have been a non-political but personal dispute. They say it's not terrorism. It's not extremism. Okay, if you know what it's not, then that means you certainly must know something about what it is. Could you please perhaps tell us? No, they won't. They'll tell us to be worried about things that happen in countries that are tens of thousands of miles away from our borders, but they won't tell us. Todd, the Super Bowl parade, can you think of anything more Americana than football? The Super Bowl champions, everyone's there. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, everyone's, it's like the biggest story in the world, and there's a shooting that breaks out. And the media just disappears, no interest in the story. I was actually watching mainstream media this morning, and not one of them mentioned it. They did mention, I'll give her credit, that Taylor Swift did donate $100,000 to the family of the one victim who passed away, and that's fantastic. But what I'd like to see is, before we run down this this political parade of calling for gun laws and we need gun control. Can we actually have a conversation about where the majority of the deadly violence is coming from in this country? And I'm sorry, but it is not coming from lawful gun owners. No NRA member has ever committed a mass shooting. Believe me, I check. And we know that the propensity for this is always, it's street violence, it's gang violence. That is the problem. And yet we're not allowed to talk about it because it's not politically correct.
No, it's a great point. And I'm live in Memphis, Tennessee, my hometown, and we're one of the deadliest. We're one of the deadliest cities. No, you're preaching to the choir here. And yet they somehow turn it around and want to blame it on, like, white people. And we're like, wait a second, this is black on black crime. What are you people talking about here?
Yeah, and I'm from the Philly area. So
all right.
Philly,
Yeah.
I'm this isn't even new. And to your point, Todd, we've watched this happen to our wonderful cities, our beautiful cities, over the course of the past 20 to 30 years. Tucker Carlson, of course, has been speaking about this, that, you can go to other countries of the world, and that doesn't mean we agree with their governments or their leaders or anything, but at least they keep their cities safe. Why is it that we have just decided to not do that? And then when you have a shooting at the Super Bowl parade, I struggle to think of something that's more Americana than the parade of the Super Bowl champions, where children who came to see their hometown heroes win the big, Lombardi trophy get shot at this thing, and yet there's no national conversation about what took place. To me, it's egregious, and it shows how gaslighted we are as a people. That you even and Todd, I've got to say, there are even people on the right. There are even people on the right that are scared to talk about this.
Oh, big time. And as a matter of fact, Jack, and again, going back to Sunday, when you had a transgender activist, shooting up Lakewood Church, that story's gone from the national coverage. It's gone because, again, it doesn't fit the narrative they want to force down our throats.
No, Lakewood Church, where a person, and I think at this point, because we've been over at, I work with, so we do humanevents.com. We also have the Post Millennial, and I've had the team there pulling records on this individual. And I think at this point, the best that I can say about, I think it's her, because she started as female, whatever she ended up as, about the immigration status, I'll just say questionable immigration status at this point. Questionable, because there's some information out there that the shooter may have actually been on an immigration detainer, which means that person would in fact be an illegal immigrant.
Wow. Not surprised there. Jack, real quick here, and we appreciate your time today. And I know you've been all over this story. Sources now saying that the intel agencies did, in fact, spy on Trump's campaign, as President Trump knew back in the day. And yet, for years, the media has been trying to gaslight us on this story.
Oh, it's amazing, Todd, right? Because President Trump had his tweet up in March of 2017. And, of course, his tweet was following the New York Times article that appeared on the day of Trump's inauguration, January 20th, 2017, that said Trump allies picked up on wiretaps during campaign. It was right there. It was the front cover of the New York Times before they went in and edited the digital front cover of the New York Times. So if you go look that up, the headline, you can't find the original. You have to actually get a paper copy. Maybe eBay has one or something. I don't know. Poshmark. And you can go and find an actual paper copy of the New York Times. This is what they do now. They don't have to go back, and you don't have to go full Winston Smith in 1984 into the archives. You just change the digital version. So you change the digital version to sanitize to whatever the current truth is. So no, it wasn't wiretapping. It was just it was surveillance. It wasn't spying. So they play these word games to act as if these things weren't happening when we know exactly what happened. President Trump told us, the New York Times told us, they all admitted it before they got caught. The problem was that Trump was never supposed to win, and that none of this was ever supposed to be made public.
That's it. And that's the thing. And keep in mind, had Hillary won, we would have never known any of this was actually going on in the first place. They tried to sabotage this man's campaign. And when they were unsuccessful, they tried to stage what was, quite frankly, a de facto coup against this president.
Exactly. So Trump wins. This creates a rift in what the preferred narrative was supposed to be. Hillary's supposed to win. This would have been a continuation of the Obama policies. This is, of course, what we're seeing now with Biden. Many of the same names and faces are associated with the Biden administration, really the third term of Obama. This was supposed to be what happened when Hillary took office. And so that everything that took place from the spring, summer, and fall of 2016 was supposed to be behind closed doors. The Steele dossier was never supposed to see the light of day. All they knew was that they had to put something in front of that judge to sign off on the FISA warrant. So they said, look, put together this cockamamie thing, put it together. We'll put our FBI stamp on it. We'll say it's all good. We'll put this in front of the judge and say, Judge, look at all this stuff we got. It's from our foreign partners, and it's this respected MI6 former agent, Christopher Steele. You got to let us look on this. And a judge is going to look at that and say, all right, fine, but let me know what you got. And it was never supposed to see the light of day. And the minute that our country, and you can go back to the Church Commission, and Frank Church out of Idaho was a Democrat who ran this back in the 70s. And he said that the minute that the United States government starts setting up secret courts and secret surveillance operations within this country, that the temptation to use it against political opponents is going to be too great for any administration. And so I know there's a lot of people out there that want to beat their chests and say, today because of what happened in Russia and say, oh, it's so horrible. How could Putin do that to a political opponent? I say, wait a minute. Look what you are doing to political opponents. Look at what's
happening right
this
now.
Government is doing to political opponents right now.
That's right. And that you're absolutely right about that. Jack, we got to leave it there. I'm running late for a break here, but just really appreciate the great work you're doing, and keep it up, my friend.
God bless, Todd. Right back at you.
All right, Jack Posobiec, everybody, senior editor for Human Events, unafraid to say what needs to be said. You got to follow him on Twitter. It's just it's a great platform, and he's got great intel. All right, we are following some breaking news out of the nation's capital. President Biden now addressing the allegations against Vladimir Putin. We're keeping an eye on that. We've got to take a quick break.